Hey guys, it's your girl AJ, the Glamour Witch, and I'm back for another video. So today we're going to be doing the part 2 of my Battle Magic video that I just recently put up. And I'm going to be going through a couple of rituals, spells, ingredients, and different things that are going to be able to help you touch on each one of the categories that I spoke about in my last video. Now, if you have not had an opportunity to watch that, please watch that first before you start this work. It's going to help to inform you. It's going to help you to kind of get a better idea of what it is that all of this is for and what it's meant to do for you. And it's also going to help you be able to take a more strategic approach in finding the methods that are going to work for you in your personal practice. Now, you know, I always say this, and I will continue to say it till I'm blue in the face, is don't give your power away to me or any practitioner here online or anywhere, right? You need to find your process. I'm going to give you ideas to inspire you, but ultimately you need to test these things out for yourself and find what intuitively feels right to you, right? So there might be things in this work that I'm sharing with you that you love and that will serve you to the highest. And there might be some things in this work that just don't really suit you, or you don't have access to those things, or you're not interested. It doesn't spark joy for you. If that's the case, then find your own method. But I will be giving you some places to start if you are completely out of touch with what to do, and if you just need a little bit of guidance. So if you're interested in learning more, just keep watching. Baby girl, she's magic. Every time you see her, she be lighting up a candle. Now, like I said in my last video, I think it's really important to start off your battle magic or whatever preparation that you have in the midst of a magical attack with a really good cleansing. If you have a very strong cleansing method in place for yourself and for your space and your environment, it is going to save you a lot of headache, and it's going to help you to avoid maybe assuming that you're under attack when maybe you just need a little bit of cleansing and clearing and to revamp your energy. This is a step that I would not skip, and it should be the first step that you do. So today I'm going to teach you a couple different things. I first am going to show you how I would go about cleansing and clearing my space. So I'm going to show you just a small insight into what it is that I'm going to be doing. We're going to make a cleaning solution, a magical cleaning solution. We're also going to make a floor wash. Now, I do have a video on smoke cleansing. It's a video from a long time ago, and I used the word smudging in that. That was at the beginning of my practice. I did not know. I didn't know. I am an Indigenous woman, but I don't have people in my life who gave me that information to know not to use that word. So that was from a couple of years ago, but the information is still solid, and you can still use smoke cleansing as a part of how you clear your space. Again, we're not talking about white sage. We're just talking about smoke cleansing in general. So that could be resins, that could be herbal blends that you mix together. That could be even just dropping some essential oils onto a coal and allowing that smoke to envelop the space and the environment. Whatever that means for you, smoke cleansing is really, really great. And it's usually people's like go-to, but I'm also going to be teaching you how to substitute that if you're somebody who cannot afford to do that, or you don't like smoke cleansing, whatever the case may be. There's going to be a couple of techniques for clearing your space that are more ritual based and don't require any tools at all. We're going to talk about banishing. We're also going to get into a little bit of protection work that I think is really important and stuff that you can kind of continuously do and keep up with. And then we're going to end the video with some ideas on how to attack your opponent. I'm going to give you a couple of different rituals and some book recommendations as well, so that you, again, can go and do your research. But ultimately, I am weary of sharing a ton of my personal stuff and also just a ton of cursing stuff, because I don't want to be responsible for the wars that you guys are waging on people, but I will give you the recommendations for the books, and I will also share a couple of rituals with you that I personally have had experience with and good luck with, that will be beneficial to you and help support you in a time of extreme spiritual warfare. Okay, so let's dive into the first portion. I'm going to move the camera around so you can kind of see what it is that I'm doing and all the ingredients that you're going to need. So first things first, you'll need a bowl to hold all of your mixture in. You're going to need a kennel to make some hot water. This will help to steep all of the ingredients. We're starting with sea salt for grounding, cleansing, and removing any stagnant or low vibrational energy. Next, I'm going to be using my all-purpose protection powder. This has a multitude of uses, and I actually have a video on how to make a protection powder, so go ahead and check that out on YouTube and just give it a little dash. I don't try to go too heavy because I don't want it to be clogged if I put this mixture raw into a bottle. So now we're going to add in our hot water. This is going to allow for the salt to dissolve and to allow the herbs to start to steep. That's important because we want the essence of the herbs to be infused in the water. Give that a good stirring. And then we're going to add in some lemon. Lemon is great for cleansing and protecting. It also raises the vibrational frequency of a space and environment, which is why lemon is used in a lot of cleansing ritual baths and also used in a lot of cleaning products. So we're going to add that in. Also, we'll be adding in white vinegar. I love using white vinegar in protection workings. It really does create kind of a banishing effect. And it's also great for just literally cleaning your surfaces if you're going to be using this to wipe down your counters and things of that nature. So we're going to jump into our essential oils, and we have white camphor. White camphor is a really great essential oil to add to this mix as it rejuvenates the vibrational frequency of a space, clearing away things like sickness, disease, other types of low vibrational stagnant energy, and bringing in good fortune and prosperity in its place. Clearance oil from Conjure Cardia. It's great for removing blockages and allowing for clearance in any endeavor. I use it for money, I use it for protection, I use it for all different types of stuff. So this can really have multiple uses. And as you see, I'm at the end of this bottle because I be wearing this oil out. Cedar wood is great for purification, protection, healing, and it's great for bringing back a calm and a sense of ease within the spirit, especially if you have anxiety. This is a great thing to add to any home remedy or herbal mixture for your home. This is the Cut and Clear oil from Conjured Saint. I love using this in a protection working as it will cut and clear away any negative influences, curses, hexes, jinxes. But I also use this oil for things like cord cuttings and just removal of energy that is attached to the environment. So we're just going to give it a little stir, okay? To make sure everything mixes together. And I can already hear somebody being like, well, aren't you supposed to stir it in a certain direction? Look, some of us don't abide by those rules, okay? This is the Glamour Witch page, okay? If I want to stir it left or right, back and forth, I will. Now we're going to just sift it out. We don't want any of those chunky little bits to be in there. If that doesn't matter to you, if you're going to be throwing this into a floor wash or something else, then you can keep it. But I personally don't like chunky bits. It clogs up the spray bottles. So we're just sifting that out. And there's usually more than necessary, so I'll add it to other things. So as you can see, I'm transferring it to this little tiny bottle, which I eventually will change because, you know, it just doesn't work. But if you want to add it to something like this, you can use it to spray on the go. This is a nice size bottle if you want to keep something on hand with you or whatever the case may be. I also want to just inform that I did add Florida water to this mix. So that is a step you're not going to want to miss. But as you can see, I'm cleaning the shit out of my walls, my baseboards, my windows, and every which way that I can get. I decided to put it into a spray bottle because the cute little mister wasn't doing what I wanted it to do. So I just mixed it in with a cleaning supply, which this is something that you can do if you don't want to have a lot of scent or whatever the case may be, and you really want to make sure that you clean your space. So I just put I put some in here, poured the rest out into here, and then I'm just hitting the walls and the baseboards and stuff like that with this mist. And then I'm also cleaning the windows and stuff like that, as you guys have seen. Then I'm going to move on to the floors. I have cleansed and cleaned my entire space. I have also done a little bit of a floor wash. I've taken that same solution, poured put it on the floor into a mopping situation. These steps are the things that I usually will start with to just basically get everything lifted, right? I also have some dragon's blood here, which is great for protection and banishing work, that I'm going to be allowing to waft in the space. I've already gone around once in the space, but now I'm going to show you how I do my circle banishing ritual, which is from the book called Angelic Protection. This ritual is very easy to do once you learn and memorize how to say all of the names, but basically it is kind of similar to the lesser banishing ritual of the pentagram. I think that's what it's called. Anyways, it's similar to that in that there's things that you have to remember, but it's very basic and very effective. So even a newcomer can use this work and have really positive effects. So this specific banishing ritual will help to remove any negative energies, entities, spiritual or supernatural attacks, any magical interferences. If you just have a weird, icky feeling in your environment, in your space, and you want to clear out that energy, this is a really, really great thing to do. If you're in any environment, you can do this anywhere you are. And I'll also be teaching you about the body of protection ritual from this same book that you can use. And I think that this is an amazing technique that you can use on the go, wherever you are, whenever you need it. Now, once you get good at memorizing all this stuff, you won't need to have your book with you, but at the beginning, you'll be in your space. It's totally fine to read from the book. And again, I will be showing and demonstrating with you now what that looks like, so you can kind of have an idea of what it is that you're going to be doing. Okay, so let's jump in. I just want to take a second to thank the sponsor of today's video, Keen. Keen is a network of trusted spiritual advisors who are there to give you guidance and support as you traverse your everyday life. So there is a series of different types of spiritual healers, psychic mediums, Reiki practitioners, tarot readers available at your fingertips for whatever it is that you may need. This is a great service to access, especially when it comes to today's video about battle magic, to be able to see if you are under a spiritual attack or if life is just throwing you a challenge, and how you can move through that, the ways that your spirit guides, ancestors, and angels or the universe would like you to take action in your life. So I'm teaming up with Keen to give all of my followers their first 10 minutes for only $1.99. So go ahead and check out Keen.com. The link is down below in the description. And thank you so much, Keen, for sponsoring this video. So let's get back to it. So I'm going to start by facing north in my space, and so you're gonna want to face north wherever it is that you're at. Okay, so the ritual is pretty simple. What you're going to do is you're going to say the name of the angel and then imagine a angelic white light coming from that direction. It can be a light that appears in that area. You can have it in your mind's eye that it's in front of you, in your space. It's really up to you what it is that feels like it resonates with you. But for me, what I usually like to do is I like to imagine a light far off into the distance, almost like encompassing my whole radius of my environment, right? And that light growing and then descending down into the space. And that's how I like to do it. But it doesn't have to be that complicated. I think that doesn't even say to do something like that in the book, but that feels right to me. And so you'll say the name and then you'll imagine that light appearing as that angel, as you're basically summoning that angel in to begin the protection ritual, right? So you will say each one of the names in a specific order. You do not have to turn in the direction of each space, right? Because each one of these has their own direction. So the first one is Raphael, and Raphael is in the north. And then we have Gabriel in the south, Michael in the east, Uriel in the west, Yohak in the northeast, Kalak in the southwest, Nuriel in the southeast, and Shamriel in the northwest. And you don't have to turn and do any of the directions. You just need to face north to start, and then you will call in those angels to support you. Okay, so you guys can watch me do the process. Raphael, 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 Gabriel, 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 Michael, 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 Uriel, 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 Yohak, 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 Kalak, 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 Nuriel, 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 Shamriel, Shamriel, Shamriel. So that is how you do the circle banishing. Now you can do this as many times as you would like. You can do this once a day. You can do this whenever you feel like you need that support. But typically I will do it anytime I'm doing this type of work all together. I will make sure that I am doing the banishing aspect of this work. So you just want to make sure too that when you're envisioning these angels and these deities, that you are really calling them in and knowing that they are there with you. All right, witches. So I know this is like a complete and total mess, but we are going to be making some wards. So it's actually time for me to redo my wards, and I try to redo the wards at least anytime I feel like there's something going on, I will change them, but at least once a month or 1.5 months, depending on, you know, if I'm keeping up with other things. They're usually not, it's really not an issue, because I have other things that I'm going to be showing you guys that you can do in your space. And also I'm doing rituals all the time that don't really require any of these things. So, yeah, it's up to you. I would also just be kind of tapping in with the energy of the wards. If you feel like something is slipping through, you need to redo one side or whatever the case may be. But today I'm going to show you a little bit more of a simpler ward that you can do. And this is just going to be utilizing jar magic. So as you can see here, I have these really cute jars here with some cork tops. You can buy these on Amazon, and I will list that down below. They're not too big, so you're not going to be using a whole lot of herbs, and you don't really need a whole lot of herbs for this work, okay? So first things first, we're going to cleanse our jars. I have here a protection incense. Again, these are jars you don't want to skip the cleansing. I know people are like, oh, we'll keep any nasty energy that's in there. You don't want anything throwing it off. You want to have a baseline. You want to know what kind of energy is going into the jars, and you don't want that to be mixed with anything else that may, you know, throw it off, right? If there's already negative energy in there, then the jar is already starting off having to do more work than it needs to, okay? So just cleanse them. I would avoid using a liquid to cleanse them, but if you are, so these are going to be dry jars, meaning I won't be adding any liquid to this. I won't be adding any oils or anything like that. Actually, I might add 1 drop of a protection oil, but it's not required, right? None of these are going to be required for you to add any liquids in there. I also prefer it so I can read it better. The last one I did was a liquid jar. I find that water does absorb a lot more, and for that I would do a little something different. I would add some different things in there as well, and I might show you guys how to do that in another video. But for today's video, it's going to be a dry jar. So I have here 4 jars because there's 4 corners in my space, but if you have a larger space or you have different parts of the room, then you're going to want to do as many jars as you are going to be doing corners. Because I'm really focusing on the space that I'm in right now, where I do a lot of my stuff and where I practice a lot, this is where I want to have this. And of course, if you are doing battle magic, or if you are preparing yourself for an attack, you want to be locking down the environment where you're going to be doing most of that magic and have a safe haven and a safe space. But I would do it for your entire house. Now, if you're going to do these jars to protect the perimeter of your house, I would bury these on the property, in the four corners of the property, or place them in the four corners of the property, whatever it is that you can do. I would do that, because if you can put this underneath your the doorway, underneath the house, if you can, I would do that too. But burying them is easier because you don't have to worry about digging them up later, or whatever the case may be. But I guess if you wanted to dig them up to redo them, you could. People put like railroad spikes in the fronts of the four corners of their property. And they typically don't pull them out to redo it. Like, once that's in there, it's nailed in there and you're not moving it, right? So if you want to do something like that, you can. This is kind of pretty much a witch's jar, a witch's protection jar. So usually they last for a little while, but you're not going to be putting your DNA in there unless you know what you're doing and you want to do that, okay? Because I clean these every single month, I don't put my DNA in there because it's not necessarily just to protect me, right? Anybody who comes into this space and the environment needs protection. So when you put your DNA in there, you're really focusing the protection on yourself. Now, I'm not saying you shouldn't do that. If you live alone, then it's perfect, right? But also you want to think about too, if you have people over in your house and stuff like that, you know what I mean? It's just better to just leave that out unless you are absolutely sure that that's what you want. Or you can make two separate types of wards, one for you personally and one just overall for the house, and anybody who comes and stays with you or shows up in the environment, okay? Because you don't want them tracking something in, and yeah, ultimately that's going to affect you anyways. Okay, so for this working, there are a couple of things that I want to get into first before we start adding all the herbs and stuff in the jar. Now that's like the fun part of the work. And I'm gonna move this incense because, ooh, child, it's getting me. For the first part of this, we're going to use our petitions. Now, this is a petition for the angel Hayiel. And this angel is really great for returning curses, malice, and cruelty to those who dispense the energy, right? So I have Hayiel's sigil here that will contact him, call him or her or it, because angels don't necessarily have gender, but you know, whatever the case may be, I'm not focusing on that. And then on the back, I will put my petition, whatever it is that I'm going to say to the angel to do. If you have something else, you have your own sigils that you want to put on here, I would put one on the front and the other side would be the petition, okay? I am going to anoint these petition papers with a little bit of protection oil. And if you don't feel like that's necessary, then you don't need to. But for me, that's what I'm gonna do for these. Now, the reason why I'm utilizing this angelic work and I'm gonna be calling on the angels is because I want this space to be really locked down. And I want to make sure that these jars are being supported by angelic assistance. Now, I'm still going to do my circle banishing ritual here and there as I see fit, and I'm still going to do other types of protection workings, which I'm going to show you today in this video. But I want to know that there is an angel assisting this specific work, and it doesn't matter if you work with angels or deities or demons or whoever you work with. This is not me saying like only work with angels or whatever the case may be. I just find that I have a lot of success with angels and I really like working with them. So anyways, I'm going to be using Hariel, Hayiel as a kind of spirit association with these jars. So there's going to be the magical work that I put into it, and then there's going to be the spiritual assistance that's going to help guide this work. And specifically, I'm focusing on sending back energies that are meant to harm me, especially if it's curses, magical things that are being done, or just like, not just like people casting spells and rituals, but any type of cruelty, any type of evil, any type of just toxic, nasty energy that people are trying to send my way to infiltrate me or to harm me in some way. I want to send that shit back, right? So what I'm going to do is, when we've done everything, I'm going to write my petition on the back. When we've done everything, then I will bless the jars once everything is inside of it, with this call to this angel to not only do this work, but that each one of these jars will be supported by this angel, creating a fortress within my space that safeguards me and upholds this intention that I have asked for of the angel, right? So what I'm going to also do is I'm going to make sure that there are other elements in there as well. And so we're going to jump into that right now. But make sure that you have your sigil on one side, whatever that's going to be. If you're going to work with this angel and you're going to do what I'm doing, have your sigil on this. You can find this specific sigil and this information from the book called Angelic Sigils, Keys, and Calls by Ben Woodcroft. This will basically break down everything that I'm going to be doing here. I don't have the energy to go through it step by step with you guys, so I'm just gonna do it and you guys can just hear me and watch me do it instead of me having to explain all the details and all that stuff. Just read the damn book. And it'll be worth it to you to have those the calls and things of that nature at your disposal. Okay, so I'm gonna write my petitions on the back and then we'll jump into filling our jars. All right, so I have written my petition on the back side here. I am going to anoint this with some protection oil, and then I'm going to place them into the jar. Okay, all right, so let's get started. I'm going to start by adding my salt, okay? Salt is cleansing, but it's also protective, and it's always going to be the base, so I make sure to cover at least the bottoms of my jars. If you want to add more than that, you can, but some people feel like that's wasteful. So if you don't feel like you're comfortable with that, just make sure that the bottom is completely covered with the salt. Beautiful. So we're gonna bless and activate the salt. Okay, so now I'm going to add in my sulfur. So the sulfur is used to destroy baneful magic, to really blow it back. And so I always add sulfur into any of my, you'll see me use it in my protection work. You'll see me use it in my baneful work because it's very explosive, okay? And it's energetic vibration. So we're just gonna bless and activate that. Now I'm going to add in some clove. Clove is great for breaking curses, hexes, and jinxes. I think it's always important to consider the idea that, something could potentially get through. And so you're gonna see me adding in things to, reflect or repel things away, but also you're gonna see me adding in things that are going to deal with the problem if it does make its way in, trapping energies, and as well as transmuting it if anything does make its way through, so that it is able to be filtered into something better. But this is a great ingredient to use as a way to break off those curses, hexes, and crossings that may have infiltrated. Maybe you weren't at home and you had something happen to you elsewhere. When you come into the space, into the environment, it breaks them off of you, thus rendering them impotent, ineffective, and null and void, basically. Okay, So we're just gonna bless and activate it for that. Next, I'm gonna add in a little bit of black salt, which some people might say like, well, why don't you just do the base as the black salt? Well, this is going to serve as just a little bit more of a, I mean, it's protective, but I want it to absorb anything that might get through. So we're using this as an absorbent agent, right? Any negative energy, especially when we're in the space and maybe we're the negative energy, right? We want to pull it away from the environment itself and place it in a space where it can be cleansed, purged, and transmuted. So if there's heavy toxic energies that we're carrying in from a environment outside of where we are or within us, these will almost suck them out of the environment in the space and then transmute them so that they can come back as something else. So they'll pull them out of the environment, which is why this is going to be something that you want to cleanse on a monthly basis if you can. Now you can, because this is dry, all you have to do is toss out the contents, cleanse the inside again, and do the same ingredient mix if you want to, or add something new in if you feel like that wasn't good enough for you, or whatever the case may be, okay? And then just restart it. You can even use the same petition paper, but if you have a new intention or you have a new spirit that you want to work with, you can do the same thing too. But this is something that you want to make sure that you are keeping up with, because this is, we're blessing this to absorb that negative energy as well, to almost be kind of like a sponge so that it can come out of the environment, out of the space, and maybe even out of you, and into these jars to be transmuted. Next, I'm going to add in some poke root. I don't need a lot of this, and I actually need to buy some more. But poke root is great for exorcising evil spirits. And so, because a lot of times people will do curses and things of that nature that are associated and attached with evil spirits or entities, and that could be as simple as just an evil spirit that may even be passing through your home or your environment. This is why it's really great to do this when you first move into an apartment. It can help you get rid of that and the influences of that, okay? And I want to specify too, if you are personally going to be using any evil spirits as a way to attack someone else, you want to just make sure that you bless this to only affect any spirits that you do not want in your environment and that you do not work with personally, so that you're not upsetting the delicate balance, right? If it's not a spirit that you're personally working with, then it's not a spirit that needs to be in the environment. And that's kind of like what this is, okay? Now I'm going to add some belladonna. Now, this is not an important ingredient necessarily, but I like to return fire. If somebody's sending me something, I'm sending it back. And I probably shouldn't be touching this with my hands. Honestly, I'll wash them afterwards, because belladonna is poisonous, but only if it's ingested in large amounts, and yeah, we're not doing that. But I'm adding some, just like the sulfur and just like the, I'm going to be adding in some cayenne pepper as well. The belladonna is meant to return fire. So if someone is sending it to me, I'm sending it back, but with an extra little oomph on the end. We talked about this earlier in the video about if someone is going to send you something, a lot of times, and this is something that you should be thinking about as well, they want to send it to you. And then if you send it back, because a lot of people do know about return to sender work, they want it to come back to them almost like how a dog comes home, right? So it doesn't come back to them in a nasty way or backfire in a nasty way. It returns back to them, and or they tether this ritual and spell to something else that's not associated with them. This work that we're doing, this is something that you should be considering when you're doing this, right? If someone's gonna send you something and you're gonna return it back, I always like to put a little something on that dog, right? If you're gonna send a dog over to me to try to bite me or try to do whatever the case may be, dig up my roses, then I'm gonna put something on his leash that you're not gonna see. And when you welcome him back into your house, tick, tick, boom, bitch. That's the energy. That's the energy that I would encourage if you're trying to do something that will delay your enemies before they go to do another attack, to implement another attack. Like I said before, we're gonna add in a little bit of cayenne. This is not necessary, but again, I like to burn shit up, right? If you're gonna get caught up in here, or if an energy or an entity is gonna get caught up in here, I want something that's gonna burn away and roast a motherfucker, burn them, set fire to this. It also amplifies and can be a boosting effect to this work and to your wards. Okay, so I'm gonna bless and activate it for that. Last but certainly not least of the herbs, this is my protection powder. I have a video on my YouTube on how to make this, so go ahead and check that out, because I'm not going to share all the ingredients. Obviously, my protection powder that I'm showing you right here doesn't have all the same things in it, but it does have a lot of really great things in it that I think would be a great place to start. I'm obviously not going to share all of my stuff with you guys, but I would definitely make a protection powder. It just comes in handy. You can have it on hand when you're ready to do a protection working, and then sprinkle it over candles, add it to bags, little mojo bags or sachets or whatever the case may be, or sprinkle underneath your doormat, add to a herbal tincture decoction, and then use it to wash your windows and all that. You can use it for so many different things, and it just makes life so much easier, because then all the herbs that you've already blessed are in here. All you have to do is kind of tell it what it is that you're trying to protect against, right? So we're going to add that, of course, in here. Now we're going to add in some other ingredients that are going to maybe be a little bit surprising. So I have here some pins. You can find some needles, sewing needles if you have them. And I also have broken glass that I collected a while back from something that I broke. So having things like pins, pins and broken glass will catch and trap negative energy, destroy it basically. It's almost the same effects that it has in a witch's bottle in terms of trapping negative energies and kind of putting the pins in them, nailing them down, right? Same effect here, and you'll bless them for that intention. Okay? Some people will even put cursing oil on the pins and then place them inside, so that whoever sent it will receive an extra dose of something special in the goodie basket. Okay? Now we're going to add in sharp broken glass. And you want to just be careful with this. I'm going to try to be careful with this. Shiny things also help to attract the attention of spirits and entities as well, to lure them in to the trap. So it can have a dual function. You can also have them represent the breaking up of whatever spell or curse that is sent your way, that it is shattered like broken pieces of glass. Right, now we're going to add in our gemstones. I have here I have here snowflake obsidian. When using snowflake obsidian in the home, it's really great for repelling negative energies from actually penetrating your home. It's great for the safety of your environment from all destruction, from harm and theft. And it provides a sense of rejuvenated bonding, and it's just a refreshing vibration to the home and in the space, for anyone that's in the actual space and environment. So I really like using this in my wards because And I use these crystal chips. I actually got these at a gem and rock show. So I know people are going to be like, well, where'd you get your crystal chips? You can go on Etsy and find people who sell crystal gemstones, the little chip versions, and they're really usually not that expensive. They're like $5 to $7 depending on the type of gemstone they are. Obviously, if it's a more precious stone, then it's going to cost a little bit more money. So just do a little digging on Etsy or even online. I would avoid Amazon because you're likely to find inauthentic gems. And lastly, I know you can't see it, but we're going to be using some rutilated quartz crystals. I can already hear someone saying, well, where did you get these? Also bought these at a manufacturer here in Los Angeles, so I didn't actually have to go anywhere. But these rutilated quartz are rutilated with black rutilation. We have black rutilation as well as gold. Now, a black rutilated quartz is great for transmuting negative energies into higher vibrational energies. The yellow ones are great for bringing in prosperity, to help creative energy flow, help with things like your solar plexus. And so I like these because they have both black and they have gold. So it's a true transmutation that can bring a lot of beneficial energy. So I'm going to be looking for the rutilated quartz that have black as well as the gold on it. But even if you just have a regular rutilated quartz with the gold, you can still program these crystals by, you know, pressing your intention, just like we've done with all these other items in here, and letting it know what its energetic assignment is, and that it will stay that way until you reassign it. Now, the great thing about using gemstones like this size in this work, as opposed to the chips, is that you can always take these out and then reuse them again for another working. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of sift through and find the right ones that I want to be in the mix, and then we'll jump right into the next part. Okay, so we have our rutilated quartz here. They all have some type of a black rutilation. All right, so I'm going to bless and activate these. I'm going to set the intention that they transmute. Ooh, caught that. Transmute all negative energy, low vibrational energy, and toxic energy into high vibrational energy and high vibrational frequencies to put back into the space. Okay? Okay, so we're ready to just drop them in. Okay, and so now we're going to go into the next step, which is to bless these with the angelic working. Ye ayevayaha ya a ya va ya a ya a ya va ya a. Adonai is your keeper. Adonai is your shade on your right hand. In the name of El, Elohim, Adonai, Adiriron, Eye Asher, Eye, El Shaddai, I call on thee. Hayiel, I call on thee, Hayiel, by the power of Akatriel, Yahweh, Tizvaat. Hear my call, Hayiel, and know that I ask that you return curses, malice, cruelty to all those who have sent them or dispensed them to me. That these warding jars be blessed with this vibrational frequency and carry this intention as well. Blessed by your influence, blessed by your hand. May all curses, malice, and cruelty sent to me and my home be sent back to all those who have dispensed them. And may these warding jars be filled to the brim with this vibration. Haya, 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 Haye, Aye, aye, ye, ye, ye. I thank you, Hayel. I thank you, Hayel. And I promise that I will do all that I can to work with you in this endeavor. Go in peace, Hayel. Now I'm just going to place all of these petition papers with the sigil of the angel in the front and seal up the jars with their cork tops. So there you have it. All of them have been blessed and activated, and now I will just insert them into the corners of my space and my environment. You can do this with as many corners and rooms in your house. It's up to you. All right, so I've kind of jumped ahead here because I'm doing a lot of things, and so there's so many moving parts to this. But I have hand poured this candle. This is actually a little bit similar to the Return to Sender candle that I offer on my website, theglamourwitch.com. But I have added some protection elements and some other ingredients in it as well. So of course I'm using my protection powder, all around multi-purpose. I'm using my master bottle protection oil. I've had this for years. I know someone's gonna ask me what's in the bottle. I'm not about to tell you, so yeah, let's just move on from that. And I have here some gemstones. So I have amethyst and I have snowflake obsidian, and I like to put amethyst in here to help with protecting my spiritual energy from people who would infiltrate, who would try to do psychic energetic attacks to try to infiltrate my dream state, or to just keep me psychically protected, and also being able to intuit if something's going on and I need to move accordingly, okay? Again, the snowflake obsidian is really a great protector as well, but it's also going to protect my energy, my vibration, bringing me back into balance as a result of this protection. That's why I really like obsidian in this candle. I used to use black tourmaline, but I just felt like it was almost just like, it was only absorbing. It wasn't necessarily always adding what I wanted it to. And I feel like snowflake obsidian does both of, removing that negative energy and protecting you while simultaneously helping to strengthen you and your internal spaces as well. And that's kind of what you want. You want it to leave you feeling stronger in the midst of all the chaos, right? Because if you're under attack, you're probably going through a lot of shit anyways. You want something that's going to support you in rebalancing yourself, okay? So I like to pick crystals that will do that. Amethyst as well can be programmed to help balance out your mood and alleviate any type of stress or anxiety. Anyways, so like I said, you can add gemstones to this. Of course, I have a myriad amount of herbs in here, as well as different types of spell oils. I want you to get in the habit of trying different things out, right? I came up with this formula as a result of trial and error, right? And there's going to be things that certain ingredients and certain recipes, like this is I made this as a all-purpose protection powder. But if there's something specifically going on that's a little bit more extreme than just like the basic level of protection, or even there's something that I need to target specifically, I'm going to make an entirely different blend for it. Something completely different than this, right? But for a maintenance and for maintaining the space, you don't need to blow everything to smithereens and exert that much energy every time you do this work, okay? So that's the point that I'm making. As you can see, I've written on the candle. Now, I have my mantra, and then I have my petition here on the bottom. I don't always use this sigil, but occasionally I will, depending on the situation. And you can actually find this sigil in the book Sigils of Power by Adam Blackthorne. Hold on. I always want to say Damian Brand because I have a lot of his books, but you can find that sigil in this book, and this one I find is really great. If you feel like you're under attack, you can do different ones, right? You can do the Cancel Curse, you can do the Banish Negative Energy if you just feel like you need one of those type of workings. But I like to do this one. And this is Make an Enemy Sense Your Power. This will actually thwart and stop magical attacks even better than other types of workings will. It serves to almost dazzle your enemy into not only submission, but to allow them to fully comprehend the weight of your power to the point where they highly reconsider attacking you again. It doesn't mean that the person is going to necessarily always stop, but it will stop an attack in its tracks if you're already there, right? If a person has a personal vendetta against you, absolutely and totally, they'll find a way, right? And there are other types of rituals and spells, and before I go into those rituals, I will usually start with this if I feel like I'm under attack by somebody, right? Just to slow it down. And then I will do another working to discover who it is that is sending me the attack. Now, if the person has done workings to cloak themselves so they can't be seen, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to do this working, right? I'm going to do it to make the enemy known or unknown sense my power, and this will stop their attack, slow them down, and make them reconsider what they're doing. And then I'm going to redo my wards to trigger me when this work needs to be redone or when another attack is being sent, right? And then this is when I start talking to my spirit guides and my ancestors to really give me clarity on who exactly it is and to start sending them to do the attacks so that I don't have to sit around and rack my brain endlessly about who it is specifically. So this is when stepping into alignment with your spirit guides, ancestors, and angels is really going to come in handy because they can see things that you can't see, right? And especially if someone's sending you an unjustified attack, they'll be able to not only connect with that person's energy, whoever it is that's sending it to you, but to their personal spirit guides and ancestors and the people who they work with, right? Because a lot of times when people assume that when you do unjustified attacks, like that your spirit guides are over there rooting you on and being like, yeah, go after that person. And very rarely is that the case, right? Very rarely are your spirit guides encouraging you to fight everyone and create chaos, right? So a lot of times your spirit guides will allow you to do the things that you're doing, especially if they're fucked up things. And they will also allow that person's spiritual team to return fire on you without your spirit guides stepping in to provide that protection. Because you send an unjustified attack and that person has a right to not only return fire, but usually your spirit team will want you to learn a lesson about attacking them. Whatever your petty reason was for attacking this person, your spirit team will usually allow something to happen for you to have a learning experience. And this is not about threefold law. This isn't about it's going to come back to you. It's about learning lessons, truly and deeply. I mean, that's ultimately why we're here, is to grow and learn in any spiritual practice. And if you are doing things on autopilot, or you're not thinking about it, or you are doing harmful things to yourself and others, your spirit team wants you to look at that, right? They want you to grow as an individual and be better. And so they're going to allow you to learn those lessons. And if one of those lessons is don't attack people unjustly on petty grounds, or don't go after people who haven't done anything to you, or don't continue to do magic on this specific person, then that's your lesson, right? And so I think it's really important to also remember that when you are sending an attack, or if you feel like there's a specific person, you want to make 100% sure that you're covered your bases, and you know it's that person. If you know it's that person, and you know they're sending magic to you, then go ahead. But if you're not 100% sure, or you just think, or you just feel like it, it's best to just send magic to known and unknown enemies. Because if it's not that person, and the energy is directed towards them, then you're sending it to the wrong person, and you're still getting hit. And if it is them, then you're sending it to them, right? And letting it be towards known and unknown targets will allow for you to even protect yourself from things that you're not even realizing are coming at you. Whether that be evil eye, whether that be negative energy, whatever it is, you're covering your bases, right? So this work I like to use for all enemies known and unknown. So you can take these sigils from the book and activate them, or you can make your own, of course. You can use runes, you can use all types of stuff, whatever the case may be. But you just want to make sure you bless and activate that sigil prior to using it in this work.